You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
With Kevin Smith, we're at Webb School in Knoxville, Division II AA semifinal, where Lipscomb Academy leads 20-7 at the half. We're going to break down this game and get to a number of others tonight. Kevin, your initial thoughts on this game?
I think Webb's done a really good job. Number one, not turning the ball over, and number two, defensively keeping everything in front of them, making Lipscomb earn every yard. You've seen Lipscomb have to really lean on the run game tonight, and it's eating up a lot of clock. We know Lipscomb likes to get a lot of plays in. Webb's doing a really good job defensively of not giving up those big chunk plays and not turning the ball over.
Let's talk about their start to that game. We walked out, and all of a sudden they chewed up a ton of clock there in the first quarter. It was run play, run play, run play. Is that by design, or is that by what Webb was doing to them?
Yeah, I think one, they wanted to set the tone early and really lean on them, and you can hear it on the sidelines of them talking about leaning on with the big guys. They wanted to set the tone early, but also think the way Webb was playing, we saw multiple times in the first half taking their inside linebackers out on receivers outside the numbers, which means we were seeing 4- and 5-man boxes. If you see a 4-man box and you don't run the football, that's tough for an offensive coordinator to keep his job.
Well, they still, even with that, I mean, Webb was able to kind of make them earn the yards the hard way. Lipscomb Academy had to convert a number of 3rd, 4th downs on that opening drive. They go up 7-0. Webb forces a turnover there. Were you close to the play? I was on the far end of the field. I couldn't see if it was a lateral or not, but they called it a fumble on the play.
It was close enough that everybody's got to pick that up. I mean, it was a judgment call. It could have gone either way, but we saw a bunch of Lipscomb players just kind of standing there looking at it. Webb did a good job of jumping on it, and it got him. It stopped a drive there for Lipscomb.
Webb takes advantage. They go down and eventually score on the very first play of the second quarter. It's 4th and goal at the 1. They just have not been able to penetrate through the middle. They get Charlie Robinson out there on the edge. He scores from 1 yard out. He jumps the fence because he's running so fast. That was pretty impressive. That was a huge score for Webb, just to get some confidence early going.
Absolutely. And I think we touched on it in the pregame show, using the quarterback run and establishing the run early. We've seen that here, especially in the second quarter. A lot of quarterback runs with Charlie Robinson. His speed has been the difference for them tonight. You've seen him be able to get outside the pocket multiple times, also running with the Q run game. His speed is hard to simulate in practice, Jesse, and Lipscomb's having a hard time right now kind of adjusting to how fast he really is.
Charlie Robinson throwing the ball in the first half, I felt like in the first quarter he erred on the side of being safe. I don't think he wanted to throw an early interception, so he was missing some guys by pretty wide margins.
Yes.
He did have one mistake, the heave on the final play of the first half, where you just kind of have to desperation throw, but all in all, not a bad outing for him.
No, not at all, and I actually got worried right there because the guy he threw to, Caleb Beasley, I think he has 6 or 7 touchdowns this year on pick sixes with a lot of field in front of him and not a lot of players around him. They got lucky right there that didn't turn into 7 more points going in the half. Those are the type of plays we're talking about. Webb has done a good job of not letting one mistake turn into another. They have been able to keep the explosive offense, and Junior Shell in particular for Lipscomb Academy, he has not been able to break free for anything big.
Still though, for Webb, they really needed to close that gap just a little bit. Were you thinking field goal at all?
I was, but man, you start to see it around the 22-yard line. That's in this weather, especially the ball's not carrying. We've seen really bad kickoffs already tonight. Yeah. Both teams have not been doing a good job special teams while it's kicking the football. So I can understand why they went for it right there. But yes, you're correct. They really wanted to get some points there going in the half.
I think all in all, Webb is probably okay being down 20-7. I think a lot of people maybe expected it to be even a blowout by the half. So they're still in this thing again. It's David Meskey the head coach at Webb School in Knoxville since 1985. This is his final home game ever, whether they win or lose. So it's going to be an emotional second half, one way or the other. What do you expect Lipscomb Academy to do offensively coming out of that? I think Webb gets the ball first, correct?
Yeah.
So offensively, do you think Lipscomb's going to attack the air a little more? Or?
I think they're going to look at the box. I really do. I think we're going to see more of the hard clap and then look over the sideline. They're going to look, are those inside linebackers and outside linebackers outside the numbers? If they get a four-man box, we're going to continue to see the run game. And for Webb, they just got to continue to make tackles. Just get the guy on the ground, lift and fight another play. And then offensively, I think Webb's going to have to break some big ones. They got to get their guys out in open field, hope a guy for Lipscomb Academy misses a tackle, but they're going to have to get something to help them or a turnover deep in their own territory.
Yeah, I videoed during the game, and I found myself just kind of shadowing wherever Shavar Young went, just thinking maybe there at the end of the half they throw a deep one up to him, man on man, our best versus your best, and see what would happen. And that just, that never materialized. We'll see.
It's really hard too in that situation. Lipscomb goes 6'2" and 6'3" out on the corners. It's hard to throw a Hail Mary when those guys are out there, and that's the difficult part of it. And that's why you were hoping they would get a little bit further there before that fourth down heave.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in the second half. Again, Lipscomb Academy, nationally ranked, defending state champion in Division II AA. They lead at Webb School in Knoxville, 20-7. Kevin, big news up in Anderson County right now. They lead Greenville 21-7 at the break. You cannot ask for a better start for them.
No, not at all. And Walker's going off. Martinez, quarterback, he's a really special player. You see his numbers; they're so gaudy. It jumps off the page at you. Again, this is the it team. We really feel like that. We don't want to see. Nobody wants to celebrate right now up there in Anderson County because we've seen leads disappear. We know Greenville's a championship program, but right now they are in a great spot, and the defense is playing well for them and forcing turnovers on Greenville's offense.
They've returned a fumble for a touchdown. They've intercepted a pass, and so it's Greenville the one that's making the mistakes. Walker Martinez, 13 of 15 passing, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception. That's absolutely huge for them. They fell down 7-0, and I'm sure there were some people up in the stands going, okay, here we go
again.
And Anderson County has absolutely responded. They have not wilted whatsoever, 21-7 at the break.
I really hope I haven't told you so later tonight. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. This is a big one. And by the way, for our viewers, if you have not been out to Anderson County to see a game, and they'll be on the road next week, you got to go to a game out there. They do a phenomenal job for those young men and anybody who visits that stadium. It is a special place.
Just got a text. The third quarter has started in Maryville. They are up 21-7 over Science Hill right now. Gage Ledoux, a 7-yard TD run with 9 minutes, 7 seconds left in the third quarter. We talk about Maryville, all the adversity they have faced this year, the injuries, the abnormal losses in the regular season. They are right where they want to be going into the middle part of the third quarter and possible trip to the semifinals.
We've talked a lot about skilled players, and rightfully so. There's a lot of good ones here at East Tennessee, and even Gage Ledoux in his own right. The guy's a bruiser. They're already running the football well, and he's going to continue to get harder and harder to tackle in this type of weather. People bounce off of him. But man, those hogs up front, that offensive line for Maryville and the defensive line for Maryville deserve a ton of credit for keeping this train rolling. They are playing high-level football. They're mean and nasty, and they are pulling this team and carrying the weight for the squad.
Alcoa leads Gatlinburg Pittman 42-0. I thought GP would contend a little bit better. I mean, they have 6'4" receivers, 6'3" receivers, running backs going nuts, quarterbacks going nuts. That just shows you that when it's championship time, Alcoa is going to turn it up.
Sometimes you get bored, right? And I don't think they're bored tonight.
No.
I think they've heard a little bit about how close this game may or may not be. And we've talked about this. In this type of weather, when it's as cold as it is, it's hard to tackle. It's hard to throw the football. We've seen it out here tonight. Both teams have struggled a little bit throwing the football. When you have an offensive line like Maryville, an offensive line like Alcoa that can lean on you and push you around, and then the backs that they can continue to throw at you there at Alcoa, they do a phenomenal job of getting those guys to football, and that's going to be the difference tonight.
We talked about in the pregame, Daniel Boone in 5A lost their quarterback last week to injury. They come down to Knoxville to try to knock off the number 1 team in the state, and West is just going nuts right now. I think it was 28-0.
Not shocking. I mean, again, you can't. It's hard to beat them with your regular quarterback, much less a backup. They are fast. They're physical. Another D-line and offensive line that are so impressive. Really good football players that are mean and nasty, and they get after you, and it's hard to overcome that.
Looks like Powell just went up 29-13 in the second quarter against Oak Ridge, and you mentioned it in the pregame. Powell has that look about them again. Now, when they got Jordan Potts back from injury. He's still playing injured, but when he came back in that third game, it was kind of like, okay, let's keep him at about 50%. And the more the season wore on, we saw him get more and more loose with him. Now he's out scrambling, running around, and it's going to be a fun game next week. If they hold on to that lead, which I think they will against Oak Ridge, it's going to be a fun game, Powell and West.
Listen, he's a dude. I mean, this is the bottom line. He's a competitor. I mean, he can run it. He can throw it. He reminds me a lot of Johnny Manziel, but wants to throw the ball even while he's scrambling around looking deep. He's got really good receivers on that side that keep getting behind the secondary. He's a winner. This is a fun guy to watch play. I am really excited to see him versus West's defense. I'm also excited to see this Powell defense, who has continued to step up and continue to get better. Can they hang in there against that West running game that is so physical and good with their buck sweeps and getting to the edge?
Yeah, a week ago, Steven Souls, the standout defensive end for Powell, basically burst open his finger during the game. He had to go get that stitched up. Now he's got a huge cast on his. He looks like E.T. out there. He's got one long finger.
He's still playing.
In the cast, and he's still making plays out there. So you're right. The Powell defense has stepped up their game a little bit. Final score of the halftime that we want to take a look at: Coalfield up big on Oliver Springs, 42-0. They won that game 50-0 in the regular season. So Benson Napier, the head football coach at Coalfield in his second year, looks like they're well on their way to a state semifinal game. Who they'll face, we'll find out later on tonight. But Kevin, just last thoughts before we go out to watch the second half, Lipscomb Academy and Webb.
Yeah, I think Lipscomb Academy's going into the break really kicking themselves on some special teams plays, some turnovers there, and then I think they're going to be looking for the box numbers. And I think Webb, again, do not turn the ball over. Don't let one mistake get you into multiple scores down, and find a way to get an explosive play. They got to get one to help them out. Otherwise, this clock's going to drain out. You look at yourself, the scoreboard's 35-7.
Yeah, this first possession of the second half for Webb will be key. They'll get the ball coming out of the break. They need to find a way to get the ball down the field. Like you said, an explosive play with somebody would definitely help there. So
I don't think Webb against Lipscomb's defense can drive the length of the field, and that you got to find that. Lipscomb has already proven they can drive the length of the field and take a 17-play drive and still punch it in. Webb's got to find that explosive play.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smith. We're going to sign off here tonight from Webb School in Knoxville. Make sure you get on 5starpreps.com. Later on tonight, we have the whole fleet of writers, videographers, photographers out tonight, covering every single high school football game that involves an area team. So we'll have coverage, we'll have videos, photo galleries, and so much more. Box scores. We'll have the schedule for next week. Everything you need to know to stay up to date on the TSSAA playoffs. Thank you to Webb School in Knoxville for putting us inside tonight.
Yes, bless them. It is freezing.
Yeah, that was a clutch move by them. We can kind of thaw out here at halftime and then get back out in the cold. Thank you, East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Again, Bobby Fricks for stopping by tonight in the pregame show. We'll see everybody next week in the state semifinals right here on 5 Star Live.
You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport, Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.